with GrowingYourGreens.com. Another exciting episode for you. Today we're here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and this episode is for one reason only, actually two reasons. Number one, I learned of a new place that carries the Azomite, or the rock dust, here in Las Vegas, and we're here today. It's actually called the IFA Country Store. We're at 3176 West Martin. Actually, it's at the cross streets of Dean Martin and West Martin. This is at the interchange of 215 and the 15 here, so it's centrally located near the famous Las Vegas Strip that I can actually see in the background. Nonetheless, we're here for one very important reason, is that my friend Jason said that, John, they got Azomite now at this place, so I'm here to check it out, learn more about it, and actually to buy some. And then we're going to compare it, because they're not selling the powder form, which is the kind I prefer. They're selling the granular form. That being said, some Azomite is better than no Azomite, so I'm going to pick some up today. So let's head in the store and pick up some of that Azomite. Now we're in the aisle with all the different fertilizers and pesticides and a lot of stuff I wouldn't recommend, including this stuff right here. But if we look down to this shelf, you can see we got something right here. And this is actually the Azomite. And this is actually only a 10-pound bag here. And it's actually granular, $15.99. So that's quite expensive, actually. So what we're going to do is, we don't want this stuff. We want the 44-pound bag that they got to get out of the back. So we're going to go ahead and order that and get it brought out. It's actually $21, so it's a much better deal. So next, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the loading dock area right here, and you're going to give them a blue tag that you got, and they're going to bring out the Azomite and actually load it up for you. So I just got the Azomite brought out to my car. They loaded it up and everything, and now I'm showing you guys what I got here. This is the Azomite. It's actually in a nice bag, unlike the paper bags that the Micronized comes in. This is actually a lot heavier, dutier, has a pull tab, so it's going to be neater to work with. In addition, the Micronized, you can have a problem with breathing it in. The granular version, because it is granulized, that it's going to be easier to spread and easier to work with. Now, what's the difference between the granular and the Micronized version? Well, we're going to be sure to find out, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you guys what this product looks like and what the Micronized looks like, and share some more information that I've learned about the differences between these two. Nonetheless, I'm glad that they have this now available at the IFA Country Store here in Las Vegas, so that people in Las Vegas can now grow super mineral rich foods. But even if you have a lawn or house plants or trees, I would highly encourage you to use the rock dust or the Azomite to give the trace minerals back to your soil. Your plants will just love it. And once again, the price on this for 44 pounds was $21.99, and actually that's one of the best prices for Azomite around. Now I'm back, and I got this Azomite. I ripped open the top, and actually this packaging is a bit different. This is like a poly packing, so it doesn't tend to rip open as easy, and it's more durable. And actually this can be easily reused to like fill compost or haul different things in, so I like that a lot. As you can see here, we got both different kinds of the Azomite. So this is the Micronized version, and we'll show you there. This is the Micronized version. So this is literally a fine powder. I mean, it's like a dust. You want some pixie dust? So that's the one I normally use. And here in Las Vegas, at present time, they only have this stuff, which is the granulated. So it's like little granules in there. Looks like little pebbles or something like that. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hydrate these guys to see if the granules will turn into liquid or not. So I have 1.25 liters of water in each bottle, and we're just going to carefully go ahead and pour these in here carefully. We're going to pour the same amount in both and see what can happen. Then while we're waiting for this, I'll tell you a little bit more information about the rock dust and why I'm such a believer in this soil nutrients. So that's about the same amount of water in each one, and now we're just going to go ahead and let it hang out. We got the even amount of water in both, and we're just going to use a little tool to stir it up here. This one's kind of clumping together, and it's not really mixing too well. It's like a cake batter, like if you're baking a cake and you add the water in like last, all the flours at the bottom, it's not really congealing or sticking together, and that's how it is. You could literally see big clumps of the rock dust here that's hydrating. It's very important when mixing in the rock dust to your soil. Number one, wear a mask, because this is actually a fine particulate that's definitely not good to breathe. But the other thing to remember is that you want to try to distribute it evenly, because what will happen is if you have big chunks of it under the ground that aren't mixed in, you'll get actually big chunks that won't actually dissolve or break up. The other thing you can do is actually you could mix it into water first and then spray it on. In certain irrigation systems, such as the earth mister, you can actually feed it into the system in the water, and then it'll actually disperse it into the soil for you. So that's actually another way you can use the rock dust. Generally how I use it is I generally use the micronized version if I have the choice, and then I'll just before planting it new for the season, I'll add some rock dust into my beds, and then mix it in when I add additional compost. One of the questions that I know you may be thinking right now is, John, how much rock dust do I add? Well, if you look to the package and read the directions, and once again, you guys should know that I don't follow directions, they say add basically 1 pound, which was actually 1 pound was actually in this little container. So 1 pound is not a lot of product for 10 square feet. So that means you're really applying it super light, in my opinion. I would minimally double that to 2 pounds per 10 square feet, and that's still not a lot of rock dust. I have used like up to 10 pounds per 10 square feet. So that's like, 1 pound per square foot, and I think that's definitely a good dose. That being said, I'm an extremist, and I like to do things in the extreme sometimes. So, I think the more the better. I have grown things like wheatgrass in 50% rock dust and 50% compost, and actually it was some of the sweetest wheatgrass that I ever grew. That being said, you can't really burn with rock dust, but that being said, you do need some soil structure in your soil. If somebody wants to do a test with growing in all rock dust, hey, that'd be cool, but I definitely think soil needs some soil structure, which means you're going to need some organic matter and compost and other things that work in a synergistic effect in your soil. The main reason why I think this rock dust stuff works is because this, and what Azomite stands for, let me go over that real quick. It's Azomite, A to Z of minerals, including trace elements. And the main thing is the T and the E. Do you like T and E's? No, I like T and A's, not T and E's. But in this case, I like T and E's. T and E stands for trace elements, and that's why the rock dust is unlike any other soil additive. I mean, other rock dusts or the Azomite have the trace elements or the trace minerals, and these are the things that are lacking in the soil. So it's the trace elements and the trace minerals is what we're really after in the rock dust. In addition, the Azomite is high in the silica, and silica is really important for strong nails. Some people take silica supplements. If you go to the health food store, you could buy silica and take the pills, which actually also want to get into that fact that you could, on the rock dust, you could actually add it to your animal feeds that they'll actually produce more and whatnot too, but I don't even get into that. I just deal with the plant side of stuff. But the elements and the trace elements, they all have a function. For example, calcium is the backbone of many of the plants and literally the backbone to us. But we need other trace minerals in our diets. And if the soil is devoid of the minerals, as they said in a 1930 Senate document, they stated that the soils are devoid of minerals, and even as late as a 1992 conference on soils, they said, the majority of the soils in the U.S. are depleted of the trace minerals and the trace elements. And if we're not putting them back in, and you're putting NPK or even regular compost produced by NPK, the minerals aren't going to materialize out of nowhere. And that's why the trace minerals are so important to add in. They do things that we haven't even fully been researched. Certain ones have been researched, and it shows that the plants grow faster and grow quicker, will yield more. These minerals do all kinds of things that we may not even be aware of, and they should be in the soil that you're growing in, but they're not due to topsoil erosion. If you can't get the Azomite, you can get other kind of rock dusts. I like the Gaia Green Glacial rock dust is the other horticultural grade rock dust. The other thing you could do is get ocean solutions or ocean grown minerals, which is a concentrate. Basically, it's seawater that contains the minerals to spread in your garden. But the main thing is that it's a trace minerals that it's really effective in this. So other rock powders, granite dust, marble dust, ironite, they're not the same. Ironite, guess what that has in it? It has iron. It doesn't have the A to Z of minerals with all like 70 plus different minerals in trace amounts. And another question comes up is, John, what about all the lead? There's lead in there. There's arsenic in there. What's up with that? Well, they're in really small amounts. Like these are parts per million. And in small amounts, in natural amounts, not like when we concentrate it and put in a thermometer and eat the thermometer, mercury. That's not good. These are in small amounts, and in small amounts, that's how nature is supposed to work, and the plants and we can handle things in small amounts. It's only when you start drilling your teeth full and putting mercury in your fillings I think it may become a problem, but I have to talk with my holistic physician about that one. But I did get my mercury out of my teeth for some reason, and I do feel better. Nonetheless, the minerals are very important to add to the soil, and that's why this stuff works. If you want a cheap alternative to the more expensive and highly unavailable rock powders and the azomites, you can order it online. But aside from that, visit a local rock quarry and try to buy the rock dust or the basically the powders from them. When they process the rocks, they're left with a lot of dust, and that's basically a remnant that they need to get rid of, and sometimes they'll give it to you for free or really cheap. Now, of course, that's not a horticultural grade rock dust, and this is one of the best ones in my opinion to use in your garden. But I think some crushed rocks in your garden is better than nothing, as long as it's a wide spectrum rock dust, not like you're adding a ton of ironite. That's not the same. So let's go ahead and go back to this and see. We're still getting a lot of caking and stuff on the bottom. It's not fully mixing up. It's almost like sand on the bottom. Let's go over to this side that we didn't actually mix up. Wow, check it out. I'm not actually seeing a lot of particulate. I'm seeing some stuff at the bottom. We might want to run this through a screen to kind of show you guys what happened, actually. That might be kind of fun. But basically, this is all dissolved into like a sand. So I could definitely say that this stuff does dissolve in. And the other question you might be thinking, hey, John, what is in it to make it granular versus the micronized version? Well, that's a good question. And for that, I emailed the Azomite company through their website. And guess what? They didn't respond to me. So I think, that's not a good thing when you have a company and somebody asks you questions and you don't respond. So not too good. But nonetheless, I have dug a little bit deeper and did some research, and I did find that, and I believe that the granular product is basically held together with molasses. And it's the molasses that binds it together so that you can apply it easier. You won't breathe it in, and it will dissolve, as we found out today. It's actually a fairly good dissolution. The other thing is, because it is in molasses, that basically, I wonder how much molasses they use per rock dust. So this is a 44-pound bag, and this was actually around $21. And this is a 44-pound bag. This is $21. But if they're adding molasses as the binder, what, did 20 pounds of rock dust go in here and 20 pounds of binder molasses go in there? So you're getting significantly less. Now, molasses could also actually be something good to add into your soil because it may feed the beneficial microbes as well. So either rock dust you get, I think it's definitely the best. If you can only get this one, get this one. But if you could get the micronized, I prefer you guys get that one. It's going to be, easier to work with. Going to be more bioavailable because it's already broken down and ready for the soil microbes and for the plants, the plant roots to absorb all the trace minerals that they should have. The last question before I go is, I know many of you guys might have, and I get actually a lot, and now I could just refer people to this video, is that, before I talked about just adding it to my soil in between seasons. But if you have existing plants, yes, you can absolutely add the rock dust after they're planted and after the fact. So normally I just like to mix it in the soil and work in the soil before I plant. But if you've already planted, that's fine. You could actually top dress, side dress it in, not a problem. Of course, you don't want to disturb your plant's roots too much. Another way, what I'm going to do right now, actually, after this video is over, is I'm going to add a little bit more water to this because it is pretty thick. Mix a little bit more, and I'm going to do the same with the one with the molasses, which does have some particulate that's non-dissolved in the bottom still. I'm going to go over to some of my prized plants, and I'm just going to pour a little bit and just give them literally a rock dust infusion, with the water. So because the particle size is so small and it's all like granules of fertilizer, and if you are using the granules, you want to definitely wet it down first. The water will carry the rock dust down to where it is, and if it doesn't get carried with this water, the eventual next waterings will definitely get it down into the root zone. So I recommend rock dust for, your vegetables, herbs, leafy greens, even your lawn. You could spread the granular stuff on your lawn. Definitely your fruit trees, even landscape trees and shrubs. They can all benefit by having trace minerals in their diet, just like we can benefit by getting all our trace minerals that are deficient in our diets by taking a supplement, but now hopefully growing in rock dust so that you'll have the most mineral rich food and best tasting food anywhere. There are also many resources online for learning more about the rock dust, the azomite. One of them is remineralized.org. They actually have a section where they have retailers or people that sell it, and they may be in your area. Another resource, of course, is the Azomite.com website, where they also list some retailers which may be in your area that are also selling it. I also have several other videos on rock dust. I get my rock dust primarily in Santa Rosa, California at Lee Ballister's, like them a lot. They have the lowest prices of any place I've ever found. Another question I get is, hey John, I called all the nurseries, the Home Depots, nobody has the rock dust and they think I'm crazy. Well, don't worry, you aren't crazy, and most people, especially in the horticulture industry, they aren't really aware of the rock dust or the Azomite powders and the trace mineral powders, because this is a subject that's like on the cutting edge. I mean, it shouldn't be on the cutting edge in my opinion, but it is. So unfortunately, if you can't find these locally, you're going to have to do an internet search. Google is your best friend, people. Type in Azomite, and type in mail order or something. But there's many different sources online. One place that is really inexpensive for the Gaia Green Glacial Rock Dust is planetnatural.com. The bags of like 50 pounds or like about under $20, and then they add on some shipping. Now the shipping is going to definitely get you, but the stuff is definitely worth it. If there's only one product that I'd recommend besides using compost in your garden, and I'm a big advocate of using compost to amend your soil and build your rich soil, the second thing you need to add is this stuff, the Azomite or the rock dust or some kind of trace mineral supplementation to your soil to bring back the trace minerals. Not only are your plants going to grow faster, they're going to grow more, they're going to be healthier. The main benefit to me is that they're going to taste healthier, and not only will they taste healthier, they will be healthier because now they will have the trace minerals in it, and you'll no longer have to take your Centrum vitamin pills for your trace minerals. And that's how nature works, and that's how things should be. So hopefully after watching this episode, if you do live in Vegas, you'll go down and get some Granular Azomite, and if you don't, then hopefully you're going to go online and order some today. Use it in your garden, and once you use it once, plant one half of your garden with it and one half without, and you'll see and taste the difference, and you will be a believer like I am. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, learning more about the granular rock dust and answering some of your rock dust questions. Once again, my name is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. We'll see you next time, and keep on growing.